There you go.
All right. So, would you like to introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yeah, my name is Motaz Askar. Professional MMA fighter, 4-1, fighting out of Chicago.
Mm.
Um, Palestinian born, Chicago raised. So, yep,
Nice,
trying to make it. You know what I'm saying?
nice, nice, nice. And how old are you?
I'm 25.
Ah, sweet. So, when did you start in martial arts?
I started training martial arts when I was about 12, 13 years old. I uh, I started doing jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai when I was 12. So I was in eighth grade because my two brothers, they're both professional fighters too.
Okay.
They were training, and I hopped in with them. And I was like, I always did whatever they did. So
Yeah.
when they started training, I just hopped in with them and uh, never looked back since. But I started with jiu-jitsu, MMA, and then went on to wrestling, and then just evolved my game as a whole. As soon as I knew I wanted to fight when I was like 13, 14, that's when I started putting everything together. So,
That's great. And I saw you're like successful. So you have like early finishes, first round, second round. It's kind of
yeah,
crazy. What's your record right now?
as a pro, I'm 4-1. As an amateur, I was 7-0.
Okay.
Um, I as a pro, I have three first round finishes, and one decision. And as an amateur, I think I had three decisions, five finishes. I think all in the first round, and one of them was in the second round.
It's too easy for you.
Uh, um,
Nice. And what weight do you fight at?
fight at 45. I fought at 45 most of my career. I am a 45er. Um, I fought at 55 once, and I fought at 50 a few times. You know.
And what's the promotion in Chicago?
This one fighting is Anthony Pettis' show. It's APFC,
Okay.
and based out of Wisconsin, but they're having it in Hammond, Indiana, which is pretty close to Chicago. So
Sweet.
I got all my people coming out. So it's gonna be a party. You know.
Sweet. Nice. And
Yeah.
so you basically started from a grappling perspective, like that's your base, basically.
Yeah, I would say I started jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai at the same time. A lot of people think I'm a grappler first, but I would say that I fell in love with Muay Thai first before wrestling, before jiu-jitsu. Um, but a lot of people think I'm a grappler first, and that's fine, till they feel my striking. Oh, this guy knows how to strike. So I would say for myself that I started with striking base first. But you know, in my eyes, I was a striker first for however long, but I did wrestle and grapple majority of the time as I was growing up. So if I had to say, I would probably say, in all, I was a grappler first. Even though I would love to be called a striker first, but it is what it is.
I mean, yeah. And were you doing like soccer before, football before you started, or?
So I love all sports, man. I love my favorite sports are football. I love football. I love basketball, and I love baseball. I never was on no organized team. Maybe only 1 year, but I played sports all the time when I was here. I didn't really like nothing else but to play sports, go outside, play basketball with my brothers and my friends all the time, baseball and football. Never played it organized. So I would say like fighting and MMA was the first organized thing I've ever done. As when I was in eighth grade, my parents, you know, they were like, oh, "Okay, take this kid to the gym with his brothers," and then after that, I had my first wrestling meet, jiu-jitsu match, kickboxing fight, and then it just started evolving. But I was never really in any organized sports growing up. I just played it all the time.
Yeah, because Chicago has some professional teams. Is it like the Browns? No, not the
No,
Browns.
the Chicago Bears, the
Yeah, exactly.
Chicago White Sox, Chicago Cubs.
Right.
So yeah, we got some good teams, some really bad teams, but
Yeah,
it is.
that's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you looking out to maybe go for the UFC eventually or Bellator?
Yeah, so my goal ever since I started was the UFC. Everyone knows about the UFC. A lot of people don't really know what Bellator, or the casuals don't know what Bellator, ONE FC,
Yeah.
PFL, all those things are. But for me, my mindset changed a little bit as I got older. I turned pro when I was 21, and it's been 4 years. I've only had five fights with COVID going on, and a lot of moves, a lot of changes. At first, when I was a little younger, I was 21. When I made my pro debut. I told myself, I'm like, I want to go to the UFC to sit
Yeah.
end of the line. UFC is still at the top of my list. Like that's where I want to be. That's where I think I could be, and I think I could be at the highest level, there.
Mhm.
But whatever comes at this point, as I get older, it's like whatever opportunity comes that brings in money. Because at the end of the day,
Mhm.
as much as we love the sport, we have to do it, and we have to. If we do it, we have to make some money out of it. We can't just keep doing it for no reason. But
Yep.
UFC is definitely number one, two, and three. But Bellator, ONE FC, PFL, whatever calls, whatever gives that good money and you know good competition, I'm there. Like I would be down for any of it. But eventually, yeah, my goal is to make it to the UFC. I obviously want to go there and be the champ, and like I have high aspirations for myself. I don't just see myself getting signed, and fighting a few times. I see myself going there, staying there, being there, making a lot of money there, and enjoying myself, living
Abs-
out my dream.
Absolutely. Like you got to pay the bills. And for someone like you, young, talented, you started young enough where you really have a shot to go to the UFC and the big leagues. And you know how a lot of fighters they get in, it's like a short call, a short notice fight. So if you're there, you're active, you're healthy, and they call you, someone dropped out, you can just step in and get a chance and show what you're capable of.
100%. Yeah, the short notice fights is what the UFC is all about. I mean, you can look at all the superstars that are now. A lot of them came through short notice fights or whatever it may be. If it was Ultimate Fighter, Dana White Contender Series, it's like I know you have to be ready, and as I got older and I matured, I've realized that for myself too. Um, and then all in all, like it's God's will,
Mhm.
like if I were to be in the UFC by now, I would have. If I am going to be in the UFC this year, next year, in 3 years, in 5 years, whatever it may be, or any other organization actually doing something in a sport, then it's all God's will. I just go with the flow, but there are some things you can control to make you go, and that's being ready, being close to weight, whatever you fight at, and um, I'm getting there as I'm maturing. So I know as I got this fight coming up, September 3rd. Hopefully, gonna go do my thing, God willing, and then from there it's just gonna be, you know. I always tell myself, as soon as I get one, I just need to keep it rolling, not get too heavy, get back to my weight, fight and fight and fight, and just
Absolutely.
go.
When you get momentum, basically you get more fans, you get more eyes, and people start talking about you, and that you really get opportunities that way. And the way that um, MMA is just growing. It's one of the fastest sport on earth. I mean, the UFC 30 years ago was just nowhere to be found, but now it's just battling with NFL and NBA and MLB. It's really up there. But strategically positioning yourself, like Adesanya was an elite striker, and then he had the opportunity to do MMA fights and UFC, but he went like slowly and strategically. He took some fights, and then eventually he stepped in the UFC. He had a lot of teammates that he were working with in the UFC. A lot of people don't know that he took his time, and now he's on top, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same thing with Alex Pereira was, obviously a Glory
Yep.
kickboxing champion, two divisions. He just fought last week, fought Jan Blachowicz, and everyone thought he was going to get smashed, wrestled, uh, uh, out grappled, and sub. But he trains with Glover Teixeira. The man's evolved, and that's the name of the game. Either you got to be good all around, and for me, I believe that I am good all around, and jiu-jitsu, striking, kickboxing, boxing, wrestling, whatever it may be. That's why I'm confident in myself to be able to do something in this sport. I'm 25, but I always tell myself I'm a vet in this game. I've been in this game for a long time, a lot longer than a lot of people who are much older than me. People who are 30, 35 fighting in this sport and have only been doing it for 5, 6 years. I'm like, man, I'm 25. I've been doing this sport for 12, 13 years. So it's like, um, the experience is there and the all around game is there. But
Yep.
if you want to be successful in this game, you got to be all around. You got to be good all around. Like as Izzy shows that in Alex Behera. So
Absolutely, and there's also everything outside of the octagon. So the sponsors and everything. Like as the sport grows, people are looking at you like these clothing brand or everything like that. They're looking like, oh, can sponsor this guy, and he's coming up. So it's a great opportunity for both of you, basically.
yeah. Uh, 100%. I feel like in the regional scene, it's much harder to find these sponsors and stuff, and it depends if you're focused on that. Me personally, like I know a lot of people are focused on sponsors when they're on the regional scene, but I honestly care about two things: fighting and winning. You know, like the sponsors will come later. You just show how good you are in the sport, and then the sponsors and people will run to you eventually. You know, when you make it. But I feel like a lot of people in the sport run to the sponsors when they're amateurs and low level pros, and then they're wasting their time and they're not really focused on winning and fighting, and they're more focused on, hey, I'm this and that. It's like, okay, cool, just go fight. You know,
Yeah.
go win, go make it. People run to you. You
Yeah.
know, people you don't need to run to people, especially if you're doing the sport for the right reasons. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And who are your coaches? Yeah.
So right now, under Mike Valley at Valley Flow Striking. Um, I moved around. I've trained in a few different places, but I'm back home in Chicago. You know, I was not living here for a few years, but I moved back to Chicago. Now I'm training under Mike Valley for Valley Flow Striking, and it's been a great gym, great teammates, great people. You know, great coaching. It's just and hard, man. It's a grind out there, and I love it. And I'm like, it makes me happy to be able to go. You know, train hard, grind, have people behind me, and then also just be by my family. You know, being back home in Chicago. You know, so yeah, the coaching staff's there is great. You know, we have Mike Valley is the head coach. We have Meech, he's the wrestling coach, and we got Islam, who's another wrestling coach. You know, so we have people all around coaching, and it's just a good environment, good people, and it's a great team. I love being part of it.
Nice. And I mean, you had your brothers. I don't know if they're close to your weight, but maybe good striking partners in the gym. And is that those weigh 45? You can have a
Yeah,
lot of sparring partners.
100%. Yeah, me and my two brothers are very similar in size. Um, one of my brothers doesn't fight no more, but he is always around us, always with us, always coaching us and cornering us, holding pads, doing all that stuff. So he's still part of our whole thing. And then the other one is he's a 35 or so. You know, we're about the same.
Right.
Uh, I walk around heavier, so I'm always a little bigger than him. But you know, at the end of the day, we're almost fighting at the same weight class. So we always train with each other. We always train with each other almost every night. So, you know,
And
it's good to have.
was your parent like kind of upset? Like, oh man.
I told the story. Mom and dad. You talking about like how my mom and dad.
Yeah,
And
basically.
yeah, so uh, well, obviously I told you like I have two older brothers that fight. So
Mhm.
uh, as soon as they started fighting, it was kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, go ahead. I told them I want to fight. They're like, nah, you good. I was like,
Um,
no, I want to fight. I've been training. They didn't even realize that I've been training at this gym when they sent me when I was 12, 13 years old. I've been training there for 5, 6 years to get ready for an MMA fight. They thought I was just like
um,
lifting weights. They didn't know what I was doing. And I
mhm.
told them I've been training, you know. And so I remember I weighed in for my first amateur fight. I came home and my mom, she told me when I was eating to recover from the weight cut, she tells me, she's like, "This is your last fight," you know. I was like, "My last fight? It's my first fight." My dad comes home and she tells him, she goes, "Tell your son that this is his last fight." And then he goes, "Okay, how about if he loses, he has to quit. If he wins, he can continue." And I was a
Funny.
lot of on to me, you know. So I ended up going out there. I ended up winning my amateur fight, my first amateur fight, and my dad just loved it. You know, my
Really?
dad loved this guy's good. And I'm
Oh,
like, bro, I trained it forever, you know. Like I didn't just go out there not knowing what I was doing. I ended up beating the kid, and my dad was excited. He came home. He told my mom, he's like, no, he's gonna continue to fight. He's really good. And having that support from my dad, I was like, oh, you know, damn,
mm,
okay.
yeah.
I love. My mom hopped on the train right away. You know, she was like, oh, this kid is actually pretty good. You know what? Like now, if I were to ever be like, oh, I'm done with this sport, she'd be like, no, 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 you're not quitting.
Oh, nice.
You're not going nowhere. You're still doing this. I was like, oh man. So I got the support behind me, you know. And at first,
Yeah.
it's always rough when you tell people, or in general your family, you're
Mm,
like, yes, well, come on, go get a real job, you know. But they
absolutely.
they eventually come around, especially if they really, you know, care for you and love you. So I think they've seen the potential in me, and they're supporting me all the way from everything, from training to weight cut to whatever it may be, you know.
Nice. I mean, that's the thing. Like today, it's totally different from when the UFC started. I mean,
Hmm.
like now it's a proper sport, basically. Like
Yeah.
even outsiders, they can enjoy it. They can like go out on a Saturday night, and watch a fight. But back then it was really like, oh, this is brain damage. This is
Yeah,
bad. This is
right.
I don't want my son to do this. Even fighters today, like, because it's not an easy sport, right? Like if you
Yeah,
ask a champion, it's like, do you want your son to fight? It's like, no, I don't. Like the weight cut, everything, like the fight business is just
it's brutal.
rough.
It's brutal. Yeah, I say it too. I tell myself, God willing, when I get some kids, man, I tell them
Yeah.
like people, like your son. I'm like, no, no.
No.
Basketball, or they're playing soccer, they're playing baseball. I don't want them playing football, and I don't want them
Yeah.
playing. I don't want them to fight. I don't want them to buy. I would want them to learn. They can
Mhm.
do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
We go become ADCC champs. Go all they want.
Yeah.
Uh, like like once you've been in this game for so long, and you're like,
Yeah.
it it's worth it, but it's not worth it. At times, it's not worth it, but
Yeah.
then when you win and you get to where you want to be, then it's worth it. But it's kind of
Absolutely.
like you suffer until you get what you want, and then you're like, oh, it was all worth it. But then you think about it, you're like, I don't want my kid to have to go through this, and
Yeah.
it's also my two brothers fight, and
Mhm.
every time I watch their fight, I'd be so scared. I'd be like, man, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to see this. I can only imagine how people are to me, because I am that to them. I get so nervous, so scared. I'm like, oh man, like it's about to go down.
Yeah.
So
I had a little story about it, and the thing is, when my brother's wife was pregnant and she gave birth, and she said her mom was more stressed and more like anxious for her daughter
yeah,
giving birth than actually hers, because it's like, oh, I'm good, like again, like, but you,
I'm
like, you're precious to me, and like I can't help you in those moments. To see
ex-
your fight or fight your brother or your son, it's like, man, like I had a training partner, and who was getting smashed in one of the amateur fights, and it's like, man, like you love that person so much, and to see them
yeah,
hurt, it's crazy. It's crazy.
yeah. Once you're in there, you're like, don't worry about me, I got you. But once they're watching you, oh my God, this.
Exactly. I
But
mean,
it's control aspect. If you have the control of the fight, if you're in there, you're you doing that.
yeah,
That's versus someone else that has no control of the situation. So,
right.
it's like I for me, like I get super super nervous getting on planes,
Yeah.
and I'm like, man, why do I get so nervous on planes? They say you're more likely to crash in a car than you are on a plane, and I'm like, I'm not in my car because I'm driving my car. When I hop on a plane, some random dude, you know what I'm saying? It gets like, oh man, overwhelming. So it's like the same thing in a fight. You're like, man, I'm all right. Don't worry about me.
Yeah.
But then someone else, regardless. Like for me, yeah, my brothers, but I have teammates that I also get super nervous for. My brothers, they're my brothers. I'm a feel for them, of course.
Yeah.
But even my teammates, like you said, I'm like, I see my teammate. I'm like, man, I don't want to watch this. This is upsetting me. I'm getting,
Yeah.
like I'm getting. So it's a weird thing. And like you said, the fight game, I would say it's everybody, all my friends. I have a bunch of friends who are athletes too, and they do sports, basketball, and all that stuff. And I always tell them, I was like, I don't care what you guys say. The hardest sport in the world is fighting.
Yeah.
It's fight, boxing, it's MMA. At the end of the day, in whatever sport you guys do, you get tired. You do this, you do this. Football's tough too, but like you have to technically fight for your life
Yeah.
while
Exactly.
you're doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're over here, someone's trying to choke you out. Like in,
Mm.
in baseball, you get tired, you just stop running, just go inside. You good.
Yeah.
You know? Basketball, same thing. You're tired, hey, switch out. There's no switching out. No, you fighting the dude in the cage, you getting ready to go. So definitely the hardest sport in the world, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, if you had to fight Mike Tyson, you're not like, oh, I'm like kind of playing LeBron James. It's the same level.
Nah,
It's not
yeah,
the same thing.
no,
Absolutely
no.
not. Like, you're not
That's
gonna
the
be the same person after. Like,
yeah. You might have to do something. Either you gotta, like you
yeah,
gotta bring a gun fight, or you have to do something else because you ain't winning. But like exactly, like
yeah,
you can go and you can, like you've seen some things, especially in boxing, like
mhm,
there's things people go in there and stuff happens. People have died in boxing. People
yeah,
have had severe brain damage after fights.
that's
They've
right.
died. Thank God this never happened in MMA. But like still fighting in general, as a whole, it's dangerous. It's a dangerous sport. A lot of people don't see that. A lot of people see the good side of it and like, oh, he's the champ. Wow, fighting. It's like, yeah, great, but you don't see the hard side. You don't see the grind. You don't see the weight cut. The after. losses. You don't see this. You don't. People only see the wins. People only see, oh, he won. Yeah, he's great. People only see
Yeah.
after. So
But isn't that crazy how fighting is in pretty much every culture? Like every country, African countries, Asian countries, they have like fighting. I mean, the Olympics started with these original sport like wrestling, where they would fight naked 4,000 years ago. But still, like when you talk to your friends that don't fight, they see like a street fight on the internet, and they're like, "Oh, she should have done this," or "Oh, that's crazy." It's like, no, he did 20 mistakes. He should have done that. I mean, he's lucky because there was, like, they don't understand spatial awareness, and even though fighting is everywhere, and as Dan White would say, it's in our DNA. It's
yeah.
still like on the ground. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird.
You know, a lot of people think they know how to fight, man. Listen, I'm Arabs,
Yeah.
and all the Arabs that I live around, man, they all think they know how to fight. So
Mm.
it's like, as people say, it's in the DNA. Like Dana White. It's DNA is fighting is in everyone's DNA because
Yeah.
everyone has a fight or flight mode
Yep.
in their life, and regardless of what it is. Um, and like, for example, like for me, like I said, I'm Arab, and all the people that I know, my friends, people I don't know, I got people who, like, these people, they all think they know how to fight,
Yeah.
you know. And I always tell all of my people, regardless if I know them or if they're my best friend, my friend, acquaintance, if I don't know them, I always tell them, I was like, if you probably think you know how to fight, but you don't know how to fight unless you've trained. If you trained once, then you could say that. If you've never trained in your life, there's no such thing as you know how to fight. Street fighting is not real fighting.
Yeah.
You know what to do. You might pick up on some things
Yeah.
if you're watching and you're learning. If that's the case, then you're learning, and you're learning how to fight. But if you just go out there, you've never learned, you've never watched, you've never done nothing, you don't know how to fight. And a lot of people are, oh man, and that. So fighting is a crazy thing because it's in everyone's DNA. And as much as everybody in a sport, like if you watch someone on TV and you're like, man, that guy sucks, this and that, MMA is probably the worst when it comes to it because people watch fights like, man, I know I could beat him. They think, and like if you're in NBA, you say like, oh, he stinks, but it's like if you play one on one against that guy, he'd beat you. All the stuff that varies. But in fighting, people actually legit think like, oh, that guy beat him up. Like I had a few guys, like when I was an amateur, I fought a few dudes. I fought this one dude who was not really good, and my friends like, man, I would have been able to beat him up. I was like, all right, let's set it up. I'll tell him, hey, yo, set him up. I was like, you think you know how to fight, huh? You
No.
know, you beat that dude just because if I go in there and I make it look easy does not mean that, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So like, you go fight that dude. I'll set it up. I'll call the promoter right now. You want to make it happen. So
Yeah.
a lot. I have a lot of things to say about fighting, but fighting is the craziest sport in the world, man.
It's
You know?
crazy. You watch a fight and like you just can't believe it. And I'm like, I feel like the excitement. It's like if I'm watching a fight, like don't talk to me. Like I'm screaming, I'm just jumping. It's crazy, but
Yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah, people think they know how to fight, but just the pressure of a wrestler. It's just like you don't tough 1 minute. You don't tough 1 minute with a boxer. Like checking a kid hurts. Like the very first, and that's if you know how to check. And like
true.
there's so many things. I don't know. It's maybe like kind of like cooking. Like if you're cooking top ramen, like you're not a chef. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
But
but yeah,
it's
that's the
great.
truth. You know?
And but it's great for the UFC to gain so much in these big organization to show like the side like with the UFC embedded and everything like that. Like these fighters like a lot of people say like, "Oh, you're so nice. Like you're so like you're calm." They're like yeah, what do you you thought I was
Yeah,
gonna do this?
I I get that a lot. I was in college. I just turned pro, and I remember I was in college, and I had people like, it was a majority of girls than guys, but
Yeah.
they don't like, oh, this guy's like very mean, very angry dude,
Mhm.
very mean. I like. And then when I would meet them, they'd be like, "Oh, you're actually nice," and I'm like, "Oh, why, did someone tell you I was mean or something?"
Yeah.
They're like, "No, because you fight like you're a mean guy,
Yeah.
dangerous dude. I don't just go around swinging on people." You know
No,
what I mean?
but it
That's
but
what they. have a bed, you know.
Exactly. I mean, Gaethje was working in social work actually, and like his teachers were saying like, "Yo, you were this super nice kid, and now you're the most violent man in the UFC." Like it's just that I don't know. It's maybe it's a switch or something like that. Like you said, like fight or flight, but it's just part of you. Like once you train and
Yeah, I mean, like it's it's weird. Like the word switch is like there's not like a legit like oh he just transforms,
Mhm,
but you can. It's like a sport. You know what I mean? Like for example, for me when I play basketball, I'm not a basketball player. I'm not that tall. When I
mhm,
go play basketball, man, I be getting heated. I be getting mad, and I don't really get mad. I'm not that type of guy. I let a lot of things go, even in sparring, even in fighting,
mhm,
training. But when I play basketball, like one wrong move, I'm ready to fight somebody. I'm not even ready to fight somebody out on the street or even in practice, but I'm ready to fight somebody on a basketball court.
mhm,
It doesn't make any sense. But there's a flip. So like for example, when I get ready for a fight and uh, I'm ready to walk out. I'm training for a dude and I'm getting ready for a guy. Like that day specifically, like, okay, it's time to turn it up.
mhm.
Sparring day. It's time to turn on a little bit. But like especially the fight day, because you're like one, I don't know this dude, so it doesn't matter to me as much as if I'm training with my brothers, my training partners, whoever it may be. But there's I guess a switch if you were to say there's something that goes on. Where you could just tell yourself, hey, let's go do this, and then let's get back. It's not like you see red and you turn back like people think. They think we're like animals. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, like for me, I'm personally, I tell this to people and they're like, what the heck? How are you a fighter? I tell them, I'm like, man, I don't like hurting people. I don't like
Mm,
punching in the face. It does not make me feel good. When I hit them, I was like, oh man, I feel
yeah.
bad. I had one time I cut a dude open in a fight, and I remember looking at him like, man, I just want to give him a hug.
Yeah.
After the fight, I went up to him. I was like, I'm sorry. I don't want to do this. I don't know. I don't even know why I do this. I just got open, bro. But it ain't. It's all love. You know what I'm saying? Nope. I don't like beef. I don't like problems. I'm just like, it's the sport. It's the sport that we're all in.
Absolutely. And like Rogan was talking about it. He was a national judo taekwondo champion. You
Hmm.
see a video of him like teaching DSP some spinning kick and just knocking dudes out. But he said like winning, especially by a knockout, it's bittersweet. There's like
Yeah.
I'm doing what I love, I'm passionate, and I just won. But there's this guy laying just down, like face down, and it's just like I hurt him, and I don't want to do this. I just want to fight. I want to compete, but the
I
other
don't want.
side of it, yeah, it's hurting
Yeah,
people.
man, that's the truest thing I ever heard. I never heard that, but that's exactly how I feel. I'm like, if to completely flatten out somebody, like, man, unless he was like a total like,
Yeah.
you know, whatever, then okay. Um, majority of the guys I fought have been cool, have been
Mhm.
nice. I've been just I guess the word would be cordial or whatever, but like just be okay,
Mhm.
no problem, beef, but we're not friends, we're not cool. It's just like whatever,
Yeah.
hey, shake hands, good job, you know. Then even that, if I were to like sleep somebody or put them out,
Mhm.
and it's like go up to me, I'm sorry, man, name of the game, that's it. It's a
Absolutely.
weird sport, man. It's the weirdest sport in the world. It's the hardest sport in the world. It's a sport that makes no sense. Sometimes when I watch it, I'm like, man, that's crazy. And I think about it, I was like, oh shit, I do that. You know,
Makes sense.
crazy thing.
But it's always immediately two side because if the second you win, the family of the other person just saw their loved one lose. Like you just said,
Mhm.
we know that side of having a training partner who's like losing, and but we still do it. Like we still like after the weight cut, after the injuries, after everything, after no money, we're still like, yeah, I'm gonna train and I want to fight in 2 months.
Yeah.
Like it makes no sense so often,
It,
and
I feel like it doesn't make sense until you actually make the money, and
yeah,
until you make it,
yeah.
until you feel like, oh man, you know what,
Mm,
this was all. And I don't think it's ever worth it until you make it. And I don't mean just make it to the UFC, make it to ONE FC, make it to wherever. I think make your first actual paycheck where you're like, man, I could live off of this, because you know how it is in the UFC. Your first checks, your first few checks, you're not getting paid. People are
mm,
like, oh, you made it to the UFC, you're done. No, I know people who are in the UFC, who've got in, got out. I know people in the UFC who've went to the top, who made it to the middle, who've been in every situation. And
mm,
some people make, you're like, bro, I made more money than this dude did,
mm,
fighting these fights. than and just working a normal job,
Mhm.
you know. But then there's other guys who are making 100 times people working a regular job on one fight, you know. So it's like you don't know if you make it until you're making enough money to be fine,
Yeah.
you know. Just that, because there's a lot of UFC fighters and a lot of fighters in general who have to work a job while doing it, and that's the hard part about everything, you know,
Yeah.
having to work a second job technically while doing this career.
Mhm. And the thing is, the grind is not it's not uncommon. Like Connor was just a plumber, and just having all that belief, he went in. But the thing is, he was on welfare, and like his girlfriend was supporting him. But if that's Connor's path in the beginning, then all of us were not like, oh, like this shouldn't happen. No, if it happened to Connor, it's gonna happen to you. Like it's gonna be
Yeah,
tough in the beginning.
yeah,
Crazy. And when like your friends are like, "Oh man, how's the like? Are you not scared of brain injuries or stuff like that? Like, how are you like
yeah.
explaining to them or stuff like that?"
The brain injury is a funny thing, because from the outside in, like from the outside in, people who don't do the sport think like we just go in and we just start throwing hands nonstop every day.
Mhm.
But if you've trained in the sport, especially at a good gym and good people, good training partners, you know you honestly do not take that much damage.
No.
Unless you are one of those guys who are going to go to war and practice and swing each other, then yeah, you're probably going to accumulate.
Mhm.
Uh, and I always think about it, like for example, Justin Gaethje. They're like people are like, man, he's crazy, took so much damage.
Mhm.
He took a lot of damage in his fights for sure, but do you know how much damage he's accumulated in practice?
Mhm.
Probably a lot, probably barely. You don't know. So people think they only see the top, you know.
Mhm.
So I always tell them like, you guys see me go in a fight and throw hard, and they throw hard. It's like yeah, but like it's not like I'm consistently getting hit in the head. You know, like I always tell people this too. It's like I don't play football, but I love football and I watch football all the time. And football, I think football is one of the worst, including boxing, but football is probably the number one worst things. I have played football just like with my friends, you know, and I don't play with pads or nothing. I just play football. And I told them, I'm like, man, I pretty sure I've received more concussions playing football twice, 3 times a year than I have in fighting my whole career. You know,
Absolutely.
like I jump up for a ball, I catch it, I come down, I land on my head super hard. I'm like falling from 4 or 5 feet in the air. Uh, what's worse, that or getting hit with a cross or a jab? I'm like, bro, I'd rather get hit with punches than fall in the air straight on the back of my head. That's the worst kind of injury. So I tell them, I was like, a lot of people think too much about it,
Yeah.
and it's like at the end of the day too, it's like you know what you're getting yourself into. You don't come in here and be like, I'm not gonna get hit. You know. It's are you willing to take that risk? That's on you. You know. And I signed my contract when I was 12 years old to be like, all right, this is what I'm doing.
Right.
So so it's a name of the game, but it's like it's not as bad as people think. I think a lot of people look at it. Like you could look at a lot of the guys who retired after they fought in the UFC and fought in major organizations.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of people you look and you're like, oh man, he's messed up. The only few, maybe Matt Hughes, but he got hit by a train, you know. Um, and maybe Diego Sanchez, but he's an outlier. But everyone else in reality is, you look at whoever. You look at Daniel Cormier, he's retired. Khabib, he retired.
Mhm.
And then as a pro MMA fighter, how many pro fights do you actually have before you retire? Some
Mhm.
people retire 15, 25, 30 fights, 40. Look at Jim Miller. Jim Miller has like almost 60 fights, I think, and he's fine. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like a lot of people, I think over, overreact to that type of thing in MMA. And also, you can go into a fight, barely get hit, get subbed, or you sub somebody, you go home, yeah, there's nothing, there's no damage.
Yeah.
You
MMA, it's like combat sports. It's the only sport where you can finish before the time. So if you have a football game, it's whatever 90 minute or whatever soccer. But if you have 25 minutes, you can end it 30 seconds.
100%.
It's but the thing is,
Yeah,
yeah, you can come in fresh, get a sub, and go home. Like
yeah,
it's
and also 100%. The thing is, like every sport, football,
Mhm.
every pro athlete. If you're a legit pro athlete, and you see it in the UFC all the time, you see a lot of them. They get knocked out or they get knocked down and they get finished and then the ref comes and stops it, and they're like, "Why'd you stop it? I'm good. I'm good. Don't worry about me." Because at the end of the day, a real athlete and a real professional is going to always want to win, and will never say they're not okay.
Mm,
You know, there's a ref there to be stopped.
mm,
So, for example, in MMA, you get knocked down, you get hit once, twice, three times, four times. They stop the fight.
mm,
You got hit five times. In boxing, you got rocked, you're concussed. You got up, you got rocked again, you got concussed. You get back up, you get rocked. It's much better to get hit on the ground than it is on the feet,
yeah,
because you'll sustain everything with them sitting with all their legs generated into one big shot. While on the ground, they generate power, of course, but
mm,
it's not 100% full capacity of
mm,
power. Football, you say you catch, like, there's stories I watch always on like the NFL guys, and they say the amount of times they've caught balls, fallen, got tackled, hit their head, and they're like all over the place, and then they run back to the play. They're all right, let's get it.
yeah,
No one realizes they're messed up. Um, and even if they do, they ask them, "You okay?" They're like, "Yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine." And of course, they're always going to say they're fine. There's no ref to be like, "Nah, he's not good," to get him out of here. You know, so
mm,
um, that's another thing, man. At the end of the day, every sport has some type of damage.
mm,
Boxing, football, MMA, is mostly like it comes to the head. But like if you look at other sports like baseball, the pitchers, their elbows and shoulders will never be the same, and basketball players, their knees and their Achilles and their ankles, what I'm saying, they're gone. So it's a give and take in all these sports that you do.
absolutely. And yeah, that high level, like you said, baseball, the wear and tear, your ligaments and your shoulder, it's not going to be the same.
Yeah.
But it's like sport is good till a certain point, and then it's not good. Like so, basically, if you run 2 miles, it's good for you. But if you run ultra marathon, your knees are going to get done. Like it's, I guess they call it a U shape, basically. So it's not a linear. Like the more you do, the more it's better. It's more like a U. So till a certain point, it's good, and then becomes
Yeah.
bad. But like you said, in the NFL, it's crazy. I mean, we can talk about this all day, but fighters, like players, would get concussed. They would get drugged up and just go back. And like
Yeah.
I had friends who were playing like a collegiate level, and it's just like, dude, like they make millions, and like they're not gonna let you just go out, basically. And
Hmm.
the NFL has a story of like suppressing these early studies showing that the concussion were causing bad effects on the brain over the long term. But
100%.
it's crazy. Like, really, it's like 90% the sport with the most concussion. Do you know what it is? The most,
Soccer.
no, but also that one with the head hit. But the thing is, it's riding horses. So equestrian, 90% of them after like their career have brain damage because when you fall off a horse is like 6 feet tall or whatever, but it's also like 800 pounds. So sometimes they fall on you. So most people who ride horses have it's the most.
Ah,
It's
I did
crazy.
not. That's a crazy thing.
And
It's a crazy
yeah,
one.
I know. I was listening to Peter Attia podcast. I don't know if you know him.
Peter Attia, no.
Yeah, he's a MD. He was on Joe Rogan a couple of times. But yeah, subconcussive hits are the worst. When you accumulate this damage in the gym, basically, when you're getting like these 90% sparring sessions, you're getting a lot. You're not losing consciousness, but you're
Yeah.
accumulating damage, and that's really the because, like you said, Gaethje has these wars, but how much of it does he has? Like three, four. But then again, it's more the training, and most injuries happens in the gym. Like people don't
Yeah.
know that one. So it's good to
Definitely.
have a good culture, safe culture, having people you trust. Like if a new guy comes in and he's trying to prove himself, it's like, dude, like, we can
Yeah,
do
you
this,
good.
but that's not good long term. Like you can't do this every Sunday. Like you can't do like the way we train. Like I guess people don't know. It's like you ramp up. So it's like you go light if you're not in camp, or you train hard, but you don't spar like 90% basically. But
Yeah.
eventually, in fight week, like let's say 2 fight week, you're peaking basically, and then you go harder. But in Thailand, they have a culture of playing. So sparring is really like balance and like anybody can spar like kind of any weight. Like you see videos of Sunshine and everything like that, and just they're playing around. They're feeling like they can throw elbows and knees without any pads or anything because they're controlled. Basically, they don't go
Yeah.
out. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you need, man. You need those. You need the good partners. You need the good people um that will take care of you. That's what you have to find. I've been to some gyms, and man, I'm telling you, some people don't care. If you're the new guy, you've been there. There's some people that just have a chip on their shoulder that just want to prove something. I always say, like, training don't mean nothing, man. You'll see me. If someone's getting me in a hold, in a choke hold, in a freaking arm bar, whatever, and it's getting me, I'm a tap.
Yeah.
I have no ego in the gym. If someone's whooping me on the feet, I'm gonna tell them, hey, give me a second. I'm not here. I ain't got no ego in the gym, man. Listen, I have an ego all I want when I'm fighting because that's my life and that's my career. I go out there, I will feel like nothing. I won't tap to nothing. I won't quit to nothing. So stuff like that. Yeah, then I'll go to that extent. But um, in the gym, you just gotta let it go. You gotta let it. You gotta let your ego to the side. You know, and same thing with sparring. You can't just go out there and just start swinging.
Mhm.
So I know I definitely know some people in my life that I've trained with that just go do not care about you, just swing, and they're like, oh, it was good. It's like, no, it was not good. We should not be doing that. You know what I'm saying? I get more frustrated of getting like hit in the head and with brain damage stuff in the gym than I do in the fights. I can care less if I'm like, oh, he rocked me in the fight. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But in the gym, I should not be getting stung, wrong. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Should not be feeling like, holy shit, I got knocked out. Why would I want to feel like that? Why would I feel like that? Or why should I feel like that in the gym?
Absolutely, and it's basic math. Basically, like you're training more than you're fighting. So if the training is so hard, you're like 80% of the time you're like hurt.
Yeah.
It should be like more 20% when you're in the fight and it really where it really counts, basically. But
Yeah.
GSP coach Firas Zahabi was talking like this old mentality of like going hard and just being out for the week. It's so stupid because when you think about it, you go hard on Monday, you do 25 reps or whatever, right? But then you're out for the week. It's so better to do 10 on Monday, 10 on Tuesday, 10 for 5 days straight. So now your work volume is 50 reps instead of 25. You double your work rep. And you were
Yeah.
working at this 50%,
Right.
capacity. I mean, but
Hmm.
you eventually like it's so much better to like be intelligent about it, resting and not going hard every like of course like we're competitors so we
You
want
go hard at times, but not all the time.
no exactly like that's crazy like but
Yeah, I know. That's the thing with the sport too. Is it can get dangerous. Like I said, any other sport. Like when it comes to basketball, baseball, you can go hard all you want in practice. No, nothing's gonna happen. Yeah, you guys might get heated, but it's like in a fight. Like people say like for example, you're sparring and you get heated in when you're training fighting. What transpires when you fight in any other sport? A fight. When you get into it with somebody, you fight. You fight each other. You throw hands. Whatever you might wrestle. You might grapple. You might start swinging. When you are sparring and you're already hitting each other, what's going to evolve after that? You're just going to hit each other harder until someone gets really hurt. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, some people won't step in. Just okay, let them spar hard. While if you see a fight on a basketball court, you see everyone. No, 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 we're not fighting. We're not doing this. You know what I'm saying? So it's dangerous because someone's eventually gonna get knocked out. I've seen it in my day, bro. I've seen a lot of people like they get into it. Some dude gets mad, spins, some does crazy shit. Dude gets knocked out, stiff, cold. And I'm like, oh great. There goes
uncomfortable.
one of our training partners. Yeah, there goes. I'm like, he's out for at least a month now. Just thanks to this dude wants to get mad. It's like, listen, I understand. I be getting mad too sometimes in practice when people want to go crazy hard, but it's like everyone got to find their balance. You got to find who you like training with. As I get older, I like to pick and choose who I like to go with. Sometimes I'm like, man, I'm not wasting my longevity on this dude because he wants to come and have a ego contest. So
Exactly. The
you
word is
know,
really longevity and like you said like when you're in the beginning you don't really feel like you can say no but then
yeah,
yeah no you're not safe basically but
yeah,
it
especially size and everything like that too.
right exactly yeah a lot of injuries like happens when there's a mismatch or everything like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you know,
it's sweet.
it's the truth. Having big guys, small guys, but it's the name of the game, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, but that's the thing. Like fighting, a lot of people again, like it's not emotional fighting. Like a proper fight, and like real fighters, they fight like mentally. Like you see a
Hmm.
guy like Ilya Taporia, like my favorite fighter right now. But
Okay,
I mean,
can't be mad at you.
this guy is
He's
different.
good. He's good. I like him too. I
Yeah,
think he's really, really talented.
but
Um,
his striking is insane. But also,
yes.
I mean, he subbed Bryce Mitchell. Like, I don't know. I can't go on with
And
this.
you're like, what the heck? Yeah, you're hyped. I know there was one combo he hit on Damon Jackson, who's fighting this weekend.
Yeah,
It was a jab, uppercut. No, it was just an uppercut, left hook to the body, overhand. And I remember looking at it, I'm like, wow. I was like, I'm utilizing that
it's crazy.
100%. So I started using it in practice, man. I'd be touching people up. I was like, wow, what a combo. So
Absolutely.
hopefully I use that on September 3rd. You know what I'm saying?
Sweet, sweet. September 3rd. Nice.
Yeah,
And you're
we'll get
finding
it.
it? Is it in Chicago?
It's in Hammond, Indiana. So right by Chicago, about 40 minutes out from here.
Ah, okay, nice, nice, nice.
Yeah, it's very
Who's,
close.
who's your favorite fighter?
Man, I get asked that question a lot. It's weird. It's a weird thing to say, but when I was younger, I always had a fighter. I love Paulo Costa. My favorite fighter at one time was TJ Dillashaw, and I really really liked him, and I really liked mimicking his style and stuff like that. But man, he got caught up with all his stuff. I kind of was like, man, you can't be a fan of that dude.
Mm,
Um, so him, I liked Anderson Silva. Obviously, I like Khabib.
mm,
Um, but all in all, I wouldn't say I have a favorite fighter and like anymore. I
mm,
watch the sport through and through, from
yeah,
prelims to early prelims to the main event. I do this sport. I know a lot of people who do this sport now. I've been around, and I don't know. I can't say I have a favorite fighter.
yeah,
It's just weird. I don't know. I know a majority of guys in the UFC. Like I know
mm,
more than the fair amount of but
yeah,
they become people to me. They're not really just like, oh, who these are random dudes.
mm,
um so it's becoming like, oh, these guys are my friends.
yeah,
So I can't really say like, oh, he's my favorite fighter. I'm like, that guy's my friend, that guy's his enemy, that dude he might fight, I might fight that guy eventually. I look
yeah,
around and I always think about it. But if I were to have to put like a label on, I'm like, you have to pick a favorite fighter.
mm,
Man, it would be weird to say I have someone at 45 that I like, because that's
yeah,
where I'm gonna fight. Because I really liked Max Holloway, and
yeah.
I really really liked Zabit. You know,
I was about to
uh,
pick him.
I really liked Zabit, but it's funny. I went out to train with Yair Rodriguez for a few weeks in Mexico.
Oh, sweet.
Uh, yeah, I went and I helped him out get ready for Volkanovski, and I remember he was telling the story about Zabit, and I'm like, man, I kind of liked him. Now I kind of don't like him, you know.
Mm,
And I'm like, man, that kind of sucks because I like the dude. Now you tell
mm,
me all the how about they had the situation, and I was like, you know what, forget that guy.
yeah,
So I would have said Zabit and this and that, but he's not even active anymore. But it's all over the place. I can't pick one. I can't pick one dude. I really
yeah.
like Ilya Taporia, a dude that fights out of my weight. I know I'm not like in the UFC. I won't fight him anytime soon, but
I
that is something
mean,
that could happen.
but it's
Possibly so.
it's guys like that that they kind of came out of nowhere. Like they've been fighting for a long time, but they get a couple wins and they're like, "Yo, who's this guy?" And like the title is just him and Volkanovski. Like by the end of this year,
Yeah, it's gonna
like
be them two fighting. It's
yeah,
gonna be a good fight. I got Volk though, but still,
yeah, pound for
till
pound.
Taporia is him. Taporia's good. Yeah, pound for pound king, man. But
Mm.
I would definitely say that Taporia's gonna give him a good fight. Um, but Volkanovski is just different level.
Yeah, but that who is it? Josh Emmett. Like those fight. First of all, like those fights were crazy. Like the Yare Josh Emmett fight was crazy.
That's
Emmett
awesome. Yeah.
Emmett Taporia was crazy, and Volkanovski Yare was crazy. Like first of all, those divisions, the Sean O'Malley's division, Ultraman, and the Volkanovski, they're just exciting. Like the
Yeah,
fighters are.
35, 45. Yeah,
Mm,
100%. The 35, 45, 55, I think, are the most exciting weight classes in the UFC. I
Yeah.
think hands down, like those three weight classes, you're just like, man, I can't get enough of them.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching all the fights at that weight class, regardless of ranking,
Yeah.
however high they are, if they're new, if they're old. But like once you get to like 70, 85, you start like, man, it's getting a little boring, you know?
Yeah. It's different.
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
guys like the Korean Zombie or Zabit, you want to watch the fight. Like you just want, and like outside the cage, they're interesting. Like I heard this guy, this thing about Korean Zombie. He was at his marriage. He had UFC gloves.
at his wedding.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Koreans, he lives and breathes by it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Well, can't blame the guy.
It's crazy. I mean, first twister in the UFC. Um, in his peak, like fighting Aldo, then getting drafted by Korea for
Yeah,
the war, and came back like nothing happened, and
yeah,
just
dude's like, oh, whatever.
it's crazy. But the
Oh, you see, I just thought about this. You see, like I I would say like I really like Shavkat Rakhmonov. I really like him.
right,
I really like Hamza Shemaev. I really like
yeah,
those
yeah.
two guys. I'm like, man, they're great to watch.
Mhm.
But like
Mark
um
Ruffalo.
I see it's like a weird thing to say. Like I train with Bilal Muhammad,
Yeah.
and so it's like
Oh,
that
okay.
guy's gonna go and fight those guys and he's gonna go beat them. So it's like, I can't be, oh, this is my favorite fighters. I enjoy watching them, but
Yeah.
I got one of my guys that's gonna go and fight and beat up those dudes. So it's like can't say it's my favorite fighter. It's like, oh great, he beat up my favorite fighter. Yeah, whatever. So I like those guys. Their style's exciting. You see what I'm saying? So there's always like a loophole, but like
Yeah.
Shavkat Rakhmonov is a really really exciting fighter and just he's very good. He's very good.
Yeah. His win over Jeff.
Jeff Neal, that was a fight, man. That was a fight. It's funny. I had one of my clients. I'm a personal trainer,
Yeah.
and one of my clients, he loves boxing and UFC, and he was just telling me, he goes, "Yeah, Shafkat really, he didn't really beat nobody." And then he was saying how he's like, and he almost lost to that one dude. I was like, talking about Jeff Neal, and he goes, "Yeah." I'm like, Jeff Neal's really good. He goes,
Right.
"Really?" He goes, I'm like, "Bro, that what do you know?" I'm like, "Because clearly it doesn't seem like you know anything. Because that dude's a dog. That dude's
Yeah.
top level. That dude's top three, top five could be. He's that good. It's just that 70-pound division stacked,
Yeah.
And it was just funny to say because I'm like, bro, that 70 is a rough division too, So
It's crazy. It's crazy how you could be one of the best in the world at 170, but then you have to fight a guy like Vincente Luque. It's not lucky for you. Like you're just,
yeah,
it's not
it's
that you're
tough.
bad. It's just that you had to face that guy. Like,
It's a tough division, man.
yeah,
There's a lot of tough divisions. 55 is tough. 35 is tough. 45, 55, 70. I think 85 is a little thin. 205 is a little thin. Heavyweight's really thin. 25 um, is pretty thin.
you
I've
know,
trained with Brandon Royval
mhm,
for a few years. He's a man. That dude, he's a great dude, and he's a really good fighter.
yeah,
I think he's gonna beat Moreno, Pantoja, whoever they give him. I hope they give him the title shot, bro. He deserves it. The kid's a demon, and that kid would, you know, he would be a great champion. He's exciting. He's fun to watch. He's a good person. He knows how to talk.
yeah,
So that guy, that dude needs to get a title shot. And you probably watched his last fight, maybe not, but
yeah.
he knocked out Mateus Nikolai with a knee in like 40 seconds, you know. And they're
Well,
saying he's the next guy to fight Pantoja for the title. So I hope so because he's good, bro. He's good.
but
So hey,
it's
if I had to pick one, I'll probably have to say he's my favorite fighter. There you
yeah,
go.
nice. I mean,
Let's go back to it.
but the thing is that it seems like this problem in these lighter division is just kind of the same problem with Demetrius Johnson and why he moved to ONE FC. It's like people don't pay attention. Even there's like killers and exciting fight, like you said, like a knee in 40 seconds. Like, but why don't people pay attention? Like,
I would say this. They say the most dominant champions are the most boring fighters. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So, like Floyd Mayweather, Demetrius Johnson is considered the greatest of all time. People hated watching him. In my opinion, I wouldn't say I loved watching him, but he was the GOAT. So you
mhm,
couldn't like be like, oh no, he stinks. Obviously he was the best.
mhm,
But it wasn't the most exciting watching him, but he was great, and that's the name
Mm.
of the game sometimes, sometimes you're not exciting, but you're the best. Sometimes you're exciting, you're not that good,
Mm.
or you can have both, either way. But Demetrius Johnson, I think, was a little different. Like, for example, like Brandon Royval, he's super, super good and he's
Mhm.
super exciting.
Right.
He gives you a fight. Uh, Same thing with like Figueiredo, Moreno,
Mhm.
Pantoja, you know. Maybe they'll
Mhm.
never reach Demetrius Johnson status, but they're a lot more exciting for sure.
But some of these, it seemed like we had a Anderson Silva champion for years and years. Jose Aldo years and years. Um, but it seems like these days, like champions, they don't really stay that long. And there's a lot of cycling through. Um, I don't know necessarily what it does, but like there's so many good talent that if a fighter is like not really exciting or they're doing a fight over and over again, like Usman in Covington or Stipe in Daniel Cormier. Like a
Yeah,
couple months from now, you might have like some new blood, basically.
100%. Yeah, it's
Mm.
always recyclable, man. My brother said this thing a few years ago. It stuck in my head forever. He said the UFC is a revolving door.
All
You
right.
come in, you come out. People come in, people come out. It's nonstop. You know what I'm
More
saying?
Moreno was cut from the UFC.
Yeah,
Right.
Moreno's cut, became LFA champ, came back, became UFC champ. You're like, what the heck? I thought this dude sucked. Doesn't matter. You can always get out just to get back in and become whatever. You can always like people always say this like they were like, this dude got in when he was young, okay, and he got cut. Okay, this dude got in when he was 30. He's a beast. The age does not matter when you come into the UFC. If you were young, old, very young, look at Rosas. They threw that kid in super quick. That Raul Rosas, the 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
He fought Jay Perrin. Jay Perrin's really not that good, and he beat Jay Perrin. Congratulations. Then he fought Christian Rodriguez. I trained with Christian Rodriguez for a few years. That kid's a dog. The kid's really good.
And he
I
won.
knew. Me and my brother, my brother trained with him for a few years too, and I was just like, man, that kid's really good. And when they fight, he's gonna whoop him, and that's exactly what happened. They throw in a kid who's 18 years old to go fight a guy who really knows what's going on, and we knew he wasn't going to sub him. We even knew he wasn't going to do that to him, and obviously that's what happened. You throw a kid in so young and he's not ready, but he got in the UFC when he was 18. He
Mhm.
loses one or two more fights, and might cut him from the UFC. So it's
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? Then all the hype is gone and everything is gone. He's not even in the UFC. That's why I told myself when I was younger, when I was 21, I told myself, man, 23, I'm in the UFC, I'm in there.
Mhm.
And I told myself, okay, 24, 25. And then as I got older, when I got like 24, 23 years old, I told myself, like, man, whenever it happens, it happens.
Mhm.
There's no, I need to be in. No, I don't. Maybe
Mhm.
maybe God's not putting me at that time because that's not the time I need to be in there.
Mhm.
You know, maybe I have to be 25. Maybe I have to be 28. Maybe I have to be 30.
For sure.
Maybe I'd never make it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I feel like you always got to have the reality in your head.
Mhm.
You could be a little delusional. I guess you got to be in the sport a little sometimes, but you got to have some realism too. You can't just keep dragging your career out. Forever and just be like, oh yeah, this, that. Um, and the thing is though, people go in at the UFC at any age, bro, and it doesn't matter. It does not matter what age you make it. There's a guy, I think his name was Victor Henry.
Yeah.
Dude's 35. He made it to the UFC. He's a 35er. Came in,
Mhm.
fought Barcelos. Ronnie Barcelos was a demon. He beat Ronnie Barcelos, and you're like, bro, this dude's 35. Where'd he come from? He just made his debut. And but it was just like, man, this dude's been around. He was like 18-3, fought really good dudes, fought ONE FC, fought everywhere, and he came into the UFC at 35. You know what I'm saying? So the age really does not matter, and the UFC really is a revolving door. You'll get in, you'll get out. Everyone will get their opportunity.
Yeah.
If you stay in the sport for long enough, you will make it to the UFC.
It's a small word. It's a small word. Like I was talking about like Tupori, and you were talking about you were training with Bilal, you're training with these guys. Like it's a small word, but
Yeah.
yeah, you can be like Stage Northcutt. You could be like Darren Till, the next big thing. But then if it
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
work out, it doesn't work out. And
Yeah, Stage Northcutt's a huge, huge one. And then also careers could take dives. Careers you could be on the top and just go plummet for no reason. Yeah, what the heck happened? Did they stop training? Did they not care no more? Like, did they just Like the skill just doesn't go away. What's going on? You know, like for example, BJ Penn. Obviously, he got old, but Anderson Silva, kind of.
Mhm.
Um, Darren Till, after he lost to Tyron Woodley, it was horrible. It's just a downward spiral. I don't think he'd ever won again after that. And you're like, what? He was just so good. He was running through everybody.
Mhm.
You know, it's a weird thing. Then you got guys like Wonder Boy who lose, win, lose,
Yeah.
lose, and then he comes and he beats a guy who's upcoming like Kevin Holland. Yeah, man, he ran through him. Yeah, this
Or,
dude, this dude still got it. So
absolutely. Or you got you know, you got guys like Cowboy Cerrone. So you send him like these young cats, and he just eats them up, like the
yeah,
Alexander Hernandez and stuff like that, and like they coming in
man,
hot, but you're getting work. The Mike Perrys, you send them, and they get
yeah,
armbarred, and it's just like
you know, that's funny.
absolutely.
That's funny because I trained with Alex Hernandez. I was on Colorado, and that was one of my main training partners.
Hmm.
And he told me about the Cowboy fight. And he told me about how much like it kind of like changed his life, with all like the people and and he's a good talker. Like he could talk his ass off. He can make a fight worth it. Like in all honesty, he made that fight.
Yeah,
He made that fight, not Cowboy. Cowboy's the name,
yeah,
but Alex made it with his mouth. He made it hype, and everyone's like, "Man, we gotta watch this fight." And that's the truth, though. Like he did go in there and he beat him up pretty bad. And it's the name of the game, bro. Vet is a vet of the game still.
but but Alex has skills. Like his striking is
Yeah,
clean.
yeah,
Um,
he's good. He's good. It's just it was just that one fight, that just it was kind of brought him down a little bit because of all the people and everything.
mhm.
That's also the thing, Sometimes you can't just be talking too much. You just gotta go fight. But hey, UFC, you gotta make your money. You gotta go say what you gotta say. So.
Right. I mean, but it's crazy. It's really like you got the Ronda Rousey judo Olympic champion, and
Uh
then they
huh.
get smashed, and you're like, oh, well, that was that one time against this boxer champion. But then again,
Yeah.
he gets smashed by Amanda Nunes. Like, well, it's Amanda Nunes. Like
Yeah.
looking back, but now it's over. That she's not in the UFC. But you also guys like Frankie Edgar who beat Yair, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Exactly. And
yeah,
then you think you're like, oh man, like this is the next big thing. Then this older person comes in and beats him. You're like, oh, maybe they're not the next big thing.
yeah,
But then you realize like that person still got it,
yeah.
and that person's still at top of the world too. It's a crazy sport. It's a
Crazy.
crazy.
I mean, it's like when Ben Askren and fucking what's his name, Masvidal. It's like, yo, they brought in this guy champion from ONE FC. Like, what's he gonna do? Like, it was not that great against Robbie Lawler. What's he gonna do against Masvidal? And then boom,
Yeah.
it's out.
Robbie, that Robbie Lawler fight was horrible.
I mean, Masvidal was saying like, oh, I'm gonna make Askren 0-2 in the UFC. It's like, what do you mean 0-2? It's like that Lawler fight was a loss.
Yeah.
But
That Lawler fight was not a win.
yeah.
Not in a lot of people's eyes.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, these guys, the Cub Swansons, and it just like people that you might overlook these guys, but man, they can really surprise you. And like you said, there's no really age. Like if you're talented, you work hard, and like you could really be at the top, basically. Like but
Yeah,
when you're not active, it's hard to like gain the octagon time or something like that. But
100%.
it's also like tough opponent. Like was it Gracie? I forget his name against Ale, not Alan. What's his name? Jourdain.
Against who?
Jourdain. I forgot his first name now. It's crazy. Uh,
What's the name though? Last name?
Gracie versus Jourdain. So Gracie like
Or Jardine. You're talking about Chrome Gracie.
yeah, Kron. Exactly. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, Kron. Like Kron was not that active. Kind of like Ryan Hall and
yeah, I do follow like 3 years.
yeah. I mean, but it's. I mean, I get he got his academy and he's working on
Still, yeah.
the Diaz band, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
No, he stinks. That guy.
Really?
Not look good.
Yeah, no. It's but that's the thing. Like some people, they're not able to adapt their style to MMA, so they think, oh, I'm this wrestling champion. I can just come in and grapple guys. Like, no, you're gonna get kneed in the face.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
I'm this
You're not.
striker.
get ready
don't
for a
need to learn jiu-jitsu. It's like, no, you're gonna be Francis Ngannou, you're gonna get taken down by Stipe for like 4 rounds. Like you gotta adapt your style. Like, even if you have like this crazy hand or whatever.
Yeah, it's the truth.
Yeah. So what's coming up for you? And do you have anything to plug or anything? It's really good.
Um, I mean, just this fight, I'm fighting September 5th, September 3rd, my bad, on a Sunday, APFC. It's gonna be on UFC Fight Pass.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm the co-main event. Find a tough dude, 5-1, tough dude. But yeah, I'm
Okay.
excited to just go out there, make my weight, go do this thing, get a win, beat this dude up, hopefully, and then God willing, and then get some food in me,
There
and
you
then
go.
just start the process until I can make it where I gotta make it, But I plug
Okay.
my social media. My Facebook is Motaz Askar, simple. That's my name. But my Instagram is Izzo, so it's IZZOOO 145. And Twitter, I could really care less about it, barely on there, or X or whatever they call it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's about it.
Sweet, sweet. Thanks, man. And like you said, you can catch that fight on UFC Fight Pass,
Yeah, APFC 7,
September
Sunday, September 3rd.
September 3rd. Perfect. Thank you,
Yes, sir.
Motaz. It was really great. Thanks for
Oh,
your
man, thank
time,
you so
man.
much.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for talking. I appreciate you having me, bro.